I'm about to bring you my top 10 most anticipated comic books for next week. Hey y'all, my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, I'm your host, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to bring you my top 10 most anticipated comic books for March 18th. This is 2020, that's right webheads, it's never too early to start that pull list for next week. And guys, at any point in this video, if you want to give it a like, go ahead, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell. All right, fans, so let's not waste any time. Let's get started with this countdown, starting with the book that's on the hot seat. That's right, fans. This is the book where I might pick it up, I might not, but when it comes to this one, it's going to be the last minute decision. And this one goes to Nightwing issue 70. That's right. Yes, Nightwing. I have not read Nightwing in so long, but I feel like this is leading into the whole Joker War, because obviously there's a banner that says it, Journey to Joker War, and then there's a reference in the description where it says Punchline. So does Punchline make her appearance in this book as well? Plus the story does sound interesting because we have Rick coming across the Joker for the first time, and he's got two different personalities or memories. So how does he handle the Joker here? So it sounds like it could be an interesting story. We'll just see how it goes when I get to the shop, if I actually put it in my hands or not. All right, so let's officially kick off this countdown now with number 10. And number 10 goes to Aquaman issue 58. That's right, guys. We have Mera. She had her baby. We found out that it's a girl, and we don't have a name yet. And so it looks like Ocean Master's out for the kid, and it's just like, he's like, the infant is mine. So it's like, okay. Now, the other thing is, too, is that Mera just looked like she was in kind of bad shape in the last issue. So does she live? Does she die? There's a lot of things still yet to be determined here. Now, will this story interest me as time goes along? I don't know. That's still yet to be determined. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm reading Aquaman for now. All right, next, coming in at number 9. And number 9 goes to Justice League issue 43. Justice League has been a phenomenal read. I've really enjoyed it. I just like how the heroes are really working together to stop Eradicator, Superman, Wonder Woman. It was captured by him. He feels like she was the next step in the evolutionary process. And then what happens is our superheroes wind up trapping the Eradicator, Superman, and the Daxamites on this far reaches of another planet where there's no sun radiation to power them. So now it looks like our heroes have the upper hand here. So this is a fun read, and they really gave Flash an important role in the last issue to celebrate his 750th, issue, or his 80 years, or whatever the heck long he's been around, and I really enjoyed it. So I definitely recommend you guys picking this up if you haven't yet already. All right, next, coming in at number 8, this one goes to Deceased Unkillables. This is issue 2. Now, this book wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be, but I still really enjoyed the very first issue. We wound up getting to see kind of like what our villains have been going through in this whole situation when it comes to this techno virus. We see certain villains just kind of hid out on an island and waiting for this virus to take its course, and we get to see what happened with Deathstroke, where he gets infected with the virus, but because of his healing factor, he winds up purging it out of his system, so he becomes normal again. And then we kind of get to see what happens a little bit with some of the remaining of the Batman family during this time period too. So it did make it for an interesting book. The thing that really kind of lacked for me a little bit was the artwork. It seemed a little bit too like streamlined or real thin-lined art, and it just was like, it seemed like it was very distant, and I couldn't immerse myself so much in it. But still, a good read, and I definitely recommend it as well. All right, next, coming in at number 7, this one, it goes to X-Force. This is issue 9. X-Force is just a great book, man. I really, really enjoy it. It really has to do a lot with Domino. It's majority of the issues of what's going on here and what, the PTSD that she's suffering through. And in the last issue, we wound up finding out that she died, which is not surprising because most mutants in the X-Men books these days, all of a sudden these days they actually die left and right. So it's a little crazy, it's like for all these years they didn't die and all of a sudden we're dying because we can get resurrected. So I get it, but her and Peter have this emotional connection with each other, which I think is really, really good. And it's just an interesting read. I have a fun time reading it, and I definitely recommend this one as well. All right, next, coming in at number 6, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. This is issue 3. At the end of the last issue, we wound up seeing a huge thing happen, and we wound up seeing Peter Quill winds up left behind on, was it a planet or ship? I don't remember exactly, but it explodes and he dies. I don't know if that's for sure. Nothing is ever permanent in comics. He could have somehow escaped or whatever the case may be. But Rocket was just beside himself when he saw his best friend practically die, right? And it was an emotional, impactful moment. And, it makes you want to check out the book. Now, when it comes to the rest of the characters in there, like the villains and whatnot, like those gods and stuff, I wasn't so much into that as much. But again, at the end of this book, I was just like, man, I got to hang on board with this. I have to see what's happening here. So definitely worth the read to see what happens with Peter Quill and the ramifications of that. So I definitely recommend that one. All right, so let's move on to the top 5. And number 5 for me goes to Red Mother issue 4, done by Boom Studios. If you guys are not reading Red Mother, I definitely suggest this independent title. It's really well done about a woman who wound up getting mugged in at a park, and her boyfriend got taken away. We don't know what happened to him. He's still missing. This woman by the name, I think is her name Daisy, if I remember correctly. She winds up losing her eye and she gets this prosthetic eye put in, and then all of a sudden now she starts to see all these images of red, and they're very freaky and scary, and she's just trying to get back to her normal everyday life, and then she just sees this weird monster all the time. In the last issue, she wound up getting this puzzle box delivered to her door that was in the shape of a heart, and she solved this puzzle box, and now she's meeting up with this weird stranger. It's just a very intriguing story, and yet there's not a lot of dialogue into it, so it's really a quick page turner, and by the time you get done with it, you're kind of like, shit, I want to read more. So this is a phenomenal read. I definitely go out there and say buy this if you can find the issues. It might be a little bit hard because it is an independent book. It's probably not a really high print run either. So if you can't, definitely read this in trade when it does come out. All right, next on the list, moving on to number 4. This one is Outlawed, issue 1, new Marvel mini event, I guess, when it comes to like our teen heroes like Nova and Ms. Marvel and Miles Morales. And this is an interesting story, right? We see a lot of teen heroes recently in the pages of Marvel Comics. So what do? Is they come up with this story now where the government says, okay, enough is enough. When it comes to these teen heroes, it's going to be against the law if they're under, I think, 18. They can't be superheroes. So that's quite interesting because it affects a lot of characters in here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this book has to offer. And I think it crosses over with a couple of books like Ms. Marvel, like Miles Morales. It might be the Champions as well, as I think they're releasing a new book also. So this one's 40 pages long. It's a $5 book, just to let you know the price point there. So definitely go check that out if you're into those characters. All right, so moving on to the top 3. We get another new number 1 from Marvel this week. This one goes to Spider-Woman. This is issue 1. So Jessica Drew is back. totally excited for her to come back. And there is a shit ton of variants for this book. Pick your choice. I'm showing some of them right here on this video. There's a lot more of them, but I think I'm getting like 3 of these variants because I love the Art Germ one. I love the J. Scott Campbell one, and and I think I'm getting like the regular red suit one. That's issue 1 too. So anyway, when it comes to this series, I'm looking forward to it. I read her last individual series written by Dennis Hopeless. I really enjoyed it. She was pregnant in the last one, and she was still a kick-ass superhero. And in this one, it seems like she's a little bit down on her luck, and she winds up getting this job that just, barely pays the bills. It's like a security job and whatnot. So I want to see how she got into the state that she's in, and I'm happy that she is back with her own series once again. So definitely go out there, buy this one, guys. 32 pages, only 32 pages. This one is $5, so you're paying an extra $1 for really virtually nothing, unfortunately. All right, next. Coming in at number 2, this goes to Star Wars issue 4. The more and more I read this series, guys, the more and more I really enjoy this run. Because of its time period, once again. So did you ever wind up, finding out, or wondering why in the Return to Jedi, Princess Leia seemed to know quite a bit about carbonation sickness, when she freed Han Solo from the carbonite, right? Well, now we wind up seeing here that she gets frozen in carbonite herself. So they maybe took that from Return to the Jedi and said, hey, why don't we freeze Leia in carbonite and, get her a little bit more knowledgeable in it. So it kind of ties into the Return to Jedi when she frees Han Solo because she can relate to that. So yeah, you wind up getting her to be frozen in this carbonite. So really, really awesome. And then you wind up seeing Luke Skywalker try to go after his lightsaber that was lost in the shoot in Cloud City. We wind up seeing Lando Calrissian try to take back Cloud City. Just a really great story, and obviously it crosses over or kind of ties in with Darth Vader as well. If you guys are not reading this one, I definitely suggest you might, because again, it takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Probably the best time period for Star Wars. All right. So what's number 1 this week? Well, my number 1 most anticipated comic for March 18th, 2020 goes to Batman, issue 91. Batman's been hitting it on all cylinders for me. I really am enjoying all the character interactions with the villains when it comes to this new villain by the name of Designer. Obviously, the hype of Punchline. I can't wait to see her make more of a relevant appearance in this series where we get to see her do her stuff and things like that instead of just messing around with our heads and, is she going to be here? Is she going to be there? But the writing is top notch. The artwork is top notch. The story is awesome. It makes me want to read it. I love seeing all the Bat gadgets in here as well. And, last issue was so great with Joker you see the story with the Designer and how the Joker kind of pissed off the Designer and they fucking shot the Designer. And you're like, fuck. And now you know why, he's after all of those villains like Catwoman and Harley and the Joker and the Riddler and the Penguin. And so you got that whole story in issue 90, and it was a great story. So I really can't wait to read this next issue and going forward with it. It's just like a breath of fresh air again. It's like Batman's back, and I can't wait to read it. So there you guys have it. There are my top 10 most anticipated comics of the week. So now it's your turn in the comments below to tell me what are your favorite comics or most anticipated comics for March 18th, 2020. And guys, if you like this content, once again, give it a thumbs up. I'm going to leave you some other content right here to check out. And until next time, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.